Hey, everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 232 for May 24th, 2017. My name is Russell Frost. I am your host for this week. Danny Cooper is off because he's off. That's what he does. Danny's taking some time off. Luckily, I have my wingman, Mr. Tony Schaefer, here with me as well. Say hi, Tony.
Hey, everybody. I can't believe it is May the 24th, especially here in Chicagoland, where it is 55 degrees and relatively miserable. I can't wait for summer to finally arrive.
So that it's really, really hot and humid?
Yeah, the only thing is the longer we string out spring and winter, the shorter the construction season.
There you go. Exactly.
And always putting a positive spin.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love construction season? Well, speaking of being constructive, he is our man in Canada who drives the Chevy Volt, Mr. Mark Godwin.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Looking forward to another good one. Got all sorts of news ready to go.
Oh, we're all over the place this week. And speaking of all over the place, yes, the world traveler, the man who owns more Teslas than any human should be allowed to have and has more reservations for them than I own. I don't know if that's that impressive, actually, because I have zero. So
right.
really
No.
two.
But you have a reservation. You got a reservation on a Faraday, though, right?
I have two reservations on Faraday.
See? So you got me beat.
FF91 for the win, baby. Hey, Dr. Evan Fusco.
Hey, everybody. Good to be here.
There you go. And you know what? Did you guys see the Faraday commercial or the last Faraday social post?
But how they're doing great and it's a fun place to work.
Yeah. They're doing. There's like, hey, here's Monty, the office manager, and everybody loves Monty, and it's great. And working at Faraday is so cool. And there's like all these posts from people who obviously work with Monty. Go, Monty, you're the best guy in the world. And I'm like, but Monty's going to be unemployed soon. Doesn't anybody care about Monty as a human?
It turns out that was actually Monty made the video so he could show it to his future employer at interviews.
The most inexplicable marketing of any company I've ever seen, Faraday. I don't understand it. But hey, God bless them. Hey, we have lots of fun things to talk about, and we're going to start it off with a little thing that. Wait, Patrick Connor or you, Tony? Which one of you did this to me? Was this Patrick?
Which one?
The rant.
The rant? I thought you did this.
Well, I do it, but someone decided to call this Russell's rant. And today, my little rant is about one of my favorite car companies, Ford. Ford just offed their CEO, Mark Fields. You never really, you get reasons and you hear things, but, Ford doesn't come out and go, we cut Mark Fields' head off because he was a loser and he didn't do this. And they never say that. So you get lots of analysts talking about, well, why did Ford get rid of Fields? And why did they bring in this other guy, this, what's his name? Hackett's? I want to say Steve Hackett. No, that's a guitar player
Bob
from
Hackett?
Genesis. I think. No, I have to look it up now. Darn it, I know it's Hackett. And he used to be the CEO of Steelcase. Anyway, so a lot of the Jim Hackett, excuse me. Thank you very much, Green Car Reports, for that. So Mark Fields is gone, and the reasons are we'll never know for sure. Probably Ford's dismal performance in general. They haven't really grown the company in the last couple of years. It's just kind of, stumbled around, and companies like Tesla have eclipsed them in market cap, for whatever that's worth. And, that's the kind of thing that shareholders get anxious about, and executives, they start to kind of shrivel up a little bit, and they need to do something. So they brought in this guy, Jim Hackett from Steelcase. Steelcase, if you're not familiar with it, is a huge company. Used to be huge, that makes office furniture, just really industrial kind of utilitarian office furniture. And good stuff for that matter. But what Jim Hackett's been known for is cutting 12,000 jobs at Steelcase, and
Oh, that sounds good.
yeah,
Great guy.
yeah. So, in a sense, what I'm smelling here is not so much. Again, some of the analysts have said, "Well, Fields didn't innovate, and their EV program is nowhere." And Ford's played this game with wearing a EV green halo whenever they want. Yes, we make the Focus electric. About 20 of them a year. They make,
just try to buy one.
yeah.
We dare you.
Go to a Ford dealership and ask them if they've ever seen one. Ford's been very aggressive in not deploying any kind of alternative vehicles, which is odd because the Fusion was actually a very strong hybrid early on, but it didn't really catch on. And then the Fusion Energies, it kind of stumbled around at the same time that the Prius family expanded. A lot of sort of like Me Too ventures. Ford hasn't been a leader in anything. Not, for instance, I mean, credit where it's due. GM and Chevrolet with the Volt. It wasn't the first plug-in hybrid to be on the market, but it was almost the first, wasn't it? I guess, yeah, almost. It's certainly in a mass market, again, where you can go to any dealer and buy one. That's what Chevy, they put it out into dealerships and people bought it, and it's been very successful. Where I'm going with this is this change probably doesn't mean that Ford's going to start building a lot of green cars and be a market and a technology leader, because this dude from the Office Supply Company, not so good on the whole technology, cutting edge, advanced tech transportation thing. Really, really good at
on the cutting part.
Yeah, really good at
not the cutting edge, but just the cutting.
Right.
Yeah, I could like Iron Chef. So that's my take on it. You guys may have a different take.
I think we've said this many times. It basically the same sentiment you just said. And I was reading the article, and I was just thinking, okay, Chevy's got the Bolt, Nissan's got the Leaf, Toyota's got the Toyota makes the Prius, and Ford makes commercials. That's pretty much my takeaway.
You say Ford makes commercials?
Yes. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
While everyone else is making advanced tech cars, Ford is making commercials about what's in the pipeline that for some reason no one ever gets to see what's at the end of the pipeline. We're going to have this in 2020. We're going to have this. And the people at Ford are, we innovate. And then that's followed by a Ford F-150 truck commercial.
And in a sense, sadly, right, Ford innovated with the F-150, bringing aluminum into the construction of the thing. And I think they've gotten kind of spanked by that.
Yeah, I don't know. But, I do.
Which makes me sad, but,
you mentioned the Fusion, and the Fusion is a good car.
Yeah.
And Ford should have pitched that car. I mean, fleets already buy Fusions by the parking lot full. And what fleet doesn't want to save money? And specifically here, you could save a lot of money in fuel and not sacrifice the luxury of, your Ford Fusion. How do you miss that opportunity?
My issue with Ford is that it's not that they tried and they started to innovate, and maybe they were late to the party, but as you mentioned, the Fusion, they didn't improve on it. Like, okay, so it sat for the 4 years, and then they released another one, and it was only a minor bump in the EV range. They still had the problem of it took up most of the trunk, and they didn't fix the problems with it. And I think that's, I don't know what they were thinking, that these problems would go away, that people would ignore them, that they would have wider acceptance after 4 years. I don't get it. You have to, in an industry where it's cutting edge, you got to up your ante each time. You can't just sit back and just roll with the technology that you used 4 years ago. You've got to up your game.
Right. No one's ever won a race by standing still.
Yep.
That feels like a motivational poster, Tony. I'm sorry, but you're absolutely right. It just feels like one of those. Yeah.
It's what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it together, and it's just going to have the Ford logo, and underneath it's going to say, "No one's ever won a race by standing still."
I like that. I like that. Obviously those Ford advertising checks are going to come rolling in here now. So.
I'm waiting, bated breath, baby.
Anybody else want to sound off on my stupid opinion?
No. Are you gonna just out of curiosity? There were two. Are you gonna hit both of these topics?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go to Evan next for a related story.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So if he were here, I think the Ford Chief Technology Officer, Raj Nair, would disagree with you about their approach to technology, according to this article that showed up on TechCrunch, looks like on May 15th. And he seems to be bragging about how Ford will look different in 10 years, unlike everyone else who will look exactly the same as they do today in 10 years. But he goes into a little bit of detail about how they're innovating on kind of the autonomous vehicle thing and how people may not need to own a car because they can just summon one to them when they need it. And even the interviewer asked him, so if Ford deeply embraces technology at deeper and deeper levels moving forward, would keep its Ford Motor name or change it to something like Ford Technology? What
technology?
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I mean, I hate to say it, but
what struggles at Ford? That's incredible.
Yeah, when you're the CTO of a company and you're saying these things that even us hacks have been saying for 5 years now, and you're saying it like it's a brand new idea, you need to change roles.
Yeah.
You know that I thought that totally blew me away in this article? Second paragraph, kids, and I'm going to quote it. While the overall panel was about autonomous vehicles, they started off with a quick mention of the GT. Ford's ridiculous, both in its ridiculous performance and ridiculously no number of them being made, $450,000 supercar. This Raj Nair quote, yeah, that car is a little bit my baby. What is technological about that car?
Right.
Oh my God.
It's a motor and a frame, and it's stupid. I don't understand it. And this is their technology guy going, brute force. The guy should work for Dodge. Oh,
ooh, nice.
Can I say that? Can I say
Man.
Charger?
Hold on. I think Dodge is calling. Yeah, totally.
And there's some fine quotes about technology is progressing fast. In case there was anybody in the audience,
I had no idea.
Wasn't
Right.
Good information.
I think what he was building up to was this. He's going to bring up some sort of theory in which the progression of technology is markable over time. He's calling it Raj's law. Yeah,
no.
because it's new to him. He's the CTO.
So
So it's not just me. This guy's out of touch.
yeah, look, there was probably some valuable information relayed in this panel discussion, but this article didn't do much to highlight anything interesting or new.
And it's kind of sad because, I mean, again, the reason you send executives to do these things is so that you look cool.
So it's blow people's minds.
It's all about appearance. Like, man, you won't believe the shit we're working on.
Yeah.
And blah, blah, blah. And here's just a little taste, and instead this guy's like talking about the Ford GT, which everyone is acknowledging is like an embarrassing failure. And what? The technology moves fast? Gee, thanks.
That's your takeaway. And then the next quote starts with, the first quote starts with technology is progressing fast. The second quote starts with the pace at which the technology is advancing is faster than it's ever been. Those are the two quotes back to back.
Why don't we just go read quote one?
Yeah.
I do
think it is indicative. It's not just him. It is indicative to the company. And the stuff that we've talked about, damn it, we've been talking about this for like 6 years. Yeah. And Ford's just now maybe figuring out that they're lagging. How's that possible?
Have you seen Ford?
Well, okay.
I mean, you know, I mean, look at the Focus Electric. It's like, there's no better way to say we don't give a shit about this sector of the market than the Ford Focus Electric. You know, it's just
Right. Compliance, compliance car.
yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
how much money they're making off of it, but
Well, they have the right to sell in California. That's what they're making off of
well,
it.
yeah, good point. Good point.
But
well-
but they didn't. But that was it. They made that little compliance car, and they just let it sit and rust and say, "Look, we make them."
Yeah, we dare you to buy one.
Dun,
Dare you.
dun, dun. Yeah, I mean, exactly. And dare is exactly it.
Right.
Can we have some fun for a minute?
Certainly.
Okay, let's. This is a little video that I want to show, and then we'll explain it. Okay, and you folks of you who are literate, and I know there's a few of you out there who watch this show who can read. You know, the surprise will be kind of spoiled, so it's okay. It's just 30 seconds long, kids. Don't get bored.
Do I have time to go use the restroom?
Yeah,
No.
absolutely. Go ahead. It's really kind of a wimp backing it up. Oh, another VW truck. Now,
Nice.
you may be wondering if you didn't read the thing, and this is on Jack Rickard on his YouTube feed. I love this. This is like some weird old mutant VW truck that he has stuck the powertrain and battery packs from a Tesla Model S into and converted it over. And I love it. I mean, I love the idea that this thing just silently takes off and then all of a sudden burns rubber down the street.
Mhm.
In this, is that the ugliest vehicle ever made?
It's up there.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's up there. I mean, it's because it's not so ugly. It's cute. It's just ugly.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's true. I mean, it's
Canary yellow and all.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, there's nothing. I'm a big fan of OSHA safety yellow on like mop buckets and stuff, and yield signs and stuff. Not so much
Right,
on the cars. But anyway, hey, cheers to them. I love the idea that they recycled this stuff in a fun way. And now this guy's got a Volkswagen truck that probably kicks ass in the quarter mile.
Right. Now he rolls up the stoplights and goes to the looks at the guy in the GT next to him and he says, "Hey,
The GT.
want to go?"
You said
Wanna go?
GT.
I did.
Well, speaking of cool on the pavement, Tony's got the next story.
So, I thought this was really neat that if you're not familiar with what's called the heat island effect, the heat island effect is the fact that cities, do away with green spaces, of course, unfortunately, and usually put down large swaths of black pavement. So you have the buildings and you have the asphalt and you have all this stuff that during the day soaks up all this heat, and then at night it's releasing all the heat, and so cities can be between 5 and 10 degrees warmer than the surrounding areas. So California, Canoga Park is trying for about I think it's a quarter-mile stretch of road, what they're calling cool pavement. And what it is it's a asphalt treatment that they don't have they don't have video or anything really showing. Somehow they smooth this onto the existing blacktop, and it's a light shade of gray. And so what they did was they said that it was 93 degrees at a nearby intersection, and when they were finished with the asphalt, that surface was 70 degrees. So right there, I mean, they took 13 degrees off. And where they have done this is in an area that has apartments nearby. And so the intent is, if this stretch of road can reduce the temperature in that little area, then it means that it won't be as hot in the apartments. They won't have to run the air conditioning. They'll reduce so it's the heat island effect, the air conditioning. You won't have to consume as much electricity running your air conditioners. And, there is always the concern every year with heat waves. You have older people, invalids, people die of heat stroke every year. And so the hope is, if this works, then they'll go from that quarter-mile stretch of road and they'll paint more sections of road with this treatment in order to, again, lower the heat island effect. The only downside right now is the cost is a relatively staggering $40,000 per mile. Yeah. Now the hope is, they'll like bulk, and they'll have, the hope is, like everything, the cost will come down in time. But if they can prove the viability of this, then perhaps other cities will pick it up, and this might be something that we start seeing in other municipalities.
But doesn't the heat just go to somebody else's road, Tony? What are you going to do about other people's roads?
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. The heat.
You cover the heat in St. Louis, and all of a sudden it appears in Chicago.
Yeah, because
it's going to go to poor neighborhoods. The
Right.
disenfranchised are going to be adversely affected by those who can afford fancy reflective roads.
Mm-hmm. I thought if the light gray is effective, I don't know why they don't just. They should just like chrome the roads. That'll really reflect.
These pictures are wonderful. There was another site that said that I was looking at, the Heat Island Group Berkeley Lab. I put it up at one point, but they say that the difference in the pavement temperature is 30 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
Between the light and the dark. They said the other big thing is you can actually light roads at night with about 30% fewer fixtures because the light pavement reflects the light and the headlights, and it makes it much safer.
Oh, that's awesome. Didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I didn't either until I stumbled onto this site.
Again, another reason to just chrome
everything.
Chrome everything, because
put
it would
hydraulics
just
into the
really
road too.
reflect everything. Yeah.
Does that work? No. Let's see. I love these pictures of them squirting this goo all over.
Yeah, where did you find that? I didn't even see the.
It's in the Daily News thing.
Oh, there it is. I should probably read the articles.
That's okay. Tony, just because you're presenting a story doesn't mean you have to understand it.
I don't understand
Look at
anything.
me every week, okay?
Every week.
I do the whole show and I have no clue what's going on. So,
was there anything about the long-term durability of this? I mean, does it have to be redone every couple of years?
That is one of the things that they're testing, to be honest. They said one of the things, which we have to really think about this is a street. So one of the things they're testing is what they called, I won't find it now, but it is like a wet street, like slipability. Cars have to drive on this thing.
It's like a sheet of ice, but it reflects nicely.
Right.
Back to that chroming the street thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I'd have to find it. But that's one of the things they're testing is, using it as a street. How does it affect driving on it? And so they're testing several things, and one of them being the durability, like you said.
It lasts forever. I mean, it's because cars just slide right off of it.
It makes the roads frictionless. I can't find anything that talks about durability, and I suspect it's because there's been no testing of this yet.
Yeah.
So, hey, good for Canoga Park,
Yeah, definitely. Streets and parking lots. I mean, good God, look at how much just square mileage is parking lot.
But man, that price has got to come down.
Definitely.
Yeah, or it'll just be done in the right neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Am I right, Evan? Huh?
Yeah.
Huh? Am I right?
Absolutely. We're talking the right language now, man.
Exactly. I mean, come on. The poor people do not need this technology. Okay. They should be glad for the free heat.
Black streets matter, bro.
Oh, Jesus
Oh,
No, you did
man.
not
He didn't go
there.
there, did he?
I'm sorry, Evan's audio feed is somehow disturbed.
We've been
Okay.
hacked.
We've been hacked.
We've been hacked.
Yes.
We were hacked. Yeah.
So I want to make sure that everyone knows. Yeah, I'm getting off of that as quickly as possible.
Yeah, please, for the love of God. Make sure
Please go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/whatdrivesus. Leave us comments, suggest news items. A lot of what we're talking about this week, actually, we got from you all, from our listeners and viewers off the Facebook. People suggest the news, and we like covering them. So, and if you use Flipboard as a news aggregator, be sure to subscribe to the What Drives Us magazine.
Absolutely. You know what I need to add in here too, just because we're kind of doing things out of order tonight. If you own a Prius and you need accessories or fun stuff for your car, be sure to visit the Prius shop for all your accessory needs. It's at priuschat.com/shop. That's the priuschat.com/shop. Every item in there is tested on animals. No, on Prius owners. Everything in there is inspected and tested by Prius owners, so you know it's good. And that's actually legit. It's not just like buying a bunch of cheap crap by the container from China and bringing it over and selling it to you suckers. It's actually getting cool stuff that actually works. So check it out, priuschat.com/shop. I think we only have one more story somehow.
What? No.
No, that's not possible.
No.
That's not possible. I'm just looking at the script. I don't really understand it.
No. Well, we got.
There are more stories. If I learned that left click thing, maybe I would. Figure it out.
With your computer your mouse only has one button.
My mouse actually has 6 buttons. I'm sorry.
Oh damn.
But who's got? What I don't have is the VW story. Is that
Mark on the
Tony?
cheat codes?
Yes.
Yeah, I got the
Mark. Thank you.
the ever popular story about VW that never goes away.
It's the story that just keeps
It
giving.
just keeps giving and giving and giving. A group of researchers have studied the code that is in the VWs that allowed them to, let's say, enhance results on their tests. This research group has been examining the code for the past year that allowed VW, when it was undergoing a dyno test, to understand it was in an emissions test and to lower the values that it was pushing through the system. And then once the test was over, of course, then the amounts would jack right up to give it higher performance, and sometimes reaching 40 times the amount of nitrogen oxides that were allowed under the EPA rules. So it's interesting that this group, when studying the computer software hack, is how they got it or found or examined it. They were able to get a copy of this code right off of the company's maintenance website. So it's available to anybody that had access to the site. And then what was even more astonishing was that a number of different private citizens had the code as well through enthusiast websites. So the code was everywhere and had been for 6+ years until it was stumbled upon by that university that was trying to figure out why the tests that they were doing in real world wouldn't match the dyno tests.
Yeah.
So really bizarre that VW didn't even try to hide this thing. Like who put
Why?
something in place and then maybe they thought there was never going to be any repercussion to it, because why on earth would you put it on your public website to allow people to download it at any point to review it? I just don't get it.
They did hide it behind the name. Yeah, the it was labeled acoustic condition.
Yeah.
So but again, it's it's sitting on a public website that anyone can grab. Just kind of remarkable that it lasted that long. But then, and of course, at the end of the article, they indicate that dynametering testing is just not enough anymore. Yeah, no kidding. But you gotta have the teeth in the rules that, you know, you've got to have people that are going to examine this stuff and not just leave it up to the automakers to, you know, basically patrol what they're doing themselves. You have to have an entity like the EPA that can check on this stuff. And we all know what's happening with the EPA. So
luckily, we'll be free of that tyranny soon.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, so who's going to do this testing? Like, who's going to check this stuff? Who's going to compare notes?
No one.
That's exactly what's going to happen. Like, it's really, I don't know.
The market's going to sort these things out, Mark. Okay, people are going to understand. They're going to know which cars pollute less, and those are the ones they're going to buy because that's the way the market works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you and your little socialist friends in Canada, just relax. Okay, do you remember the acid rain in the 70s? Coming back, baby, big time. Okay, coming back.
That's okay. I've got lead umbrellas.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's really strange how these this group put this code out there and was available. Like you said, okay, they hid it in the name somewhat, but it was there to be found if someone was looking.
Just arrogance.
You
know.
In addition to the the arrogance and the blatant, the blatant cheating. As I was reading this article, what I found great, the funniest part was the code allowed for as many as 10 different profiles for potential tests. So, I mean, it was very sophisticated. You know, it wasn't just one person writing one scenario. I mean, they had to understand 10 different test profiles. And then going down lower was the poor little Fiat 500X. The car's onboard computer simply allows the emission curbing system to run for the first 26 minutes and 40 seconds after the engine starts. So basically, for 26 minutes and 40 seconds, which happens to be the length of the testing, it ran efficiently. And after that, it just assumed you were just driving the car, and then it turned off all the emission stuff. So I mean, talk about, that's like lowbrow cheating right there. Yep. That's hilarious as far as I'm concerned.
At least they found that one engineer and got rid of him.
Yes. It was all about one person.
Oh man, remarkable.
I get why they didn't find it right away. I mean, again, we're talking a computer code here, and I don't know. I'm going to guess that probably isn't like 36 lines of code. You know what I mean? This is the code to operate this vehicle is probably fairly complex. They say in the article that this is the most complex cheat that they've ever found, and clearly it's very sophisticated and was written to accommodate a wide range of emissions testing. So, you know, I don't necessarily I get it's arrogance that they publish it without question. Like, you guys, we're going to show it to you. You're not going to see it. You know what I mean?
And they're sitting there laughing the entire time, right?
EPA. You know, I mean, okay, I get it, you know, but wow. I'm sorry, just the balls of it just really blows me away.
Right.
That's all I got. Sorry, I don't have a lot more.
Well, like you said, it's the story that keeps on giving. Who knows what'll come out next week? But it's like this has been in the news now for over a year. Like it's crazy the amount of coverage that this thing has gotten. But again, there's never been this type of scale of a cheat that's been performed on the public either.
Right. And it's been implemented across an entire line of vehicles, makes and models. Yeah.
Well, let's Tony, did you have another story about efficient vehicles?
I do. Speaking
I just
of which,
wondered, maybe, yeah.
yeah, maybe. As long as we're going there. Are we going there? Do we talk about efficient vehicles? I forget anymore.
It's
Yeah.
kind of what the show's about.
So what's interesting? An article in Bloomberg talked about the first half of this article, which I was like, why am I reading this article? Talked about how the Dodge Challenger SRT Demon is 808 horsepower.
Of Dodge power.
Of efficiency.
Yes, 800. Yes, 808 horsepower of high efficiency. I'll tell you. And so then they keep going on about purchasers are getting 600 horsepower. There's 18 models to choose from. Anything from sports cars to Cadillac sedans, and they have a chart showing how horsepower has gone up from the 1970s, where like a 1976 Aston Martin had 285 horsepower, and the 2012 Bugatti Veyron has 1,200 horsepower. So there's this chart, and I'm thinking, why are we talking horsepower? And then the mood shifts. And then they start talking about no matter how efficient cars are not efficient, no matter how powerful cars have gotten, which we know they've gotten more powerful, they are also improving in efficiency, which almost seems to boggle the mind. Because I know when I was growing up, it was the whole thought of, well, it's got a lot of horsepower, it's got more cylinders, this thing, is going to go through a tank of gas, every 5 miles. But what we're finding is the engines are 42% smaller now, smaller, but yet more powerful than they were 40 years ago. So instead of only getting like 25 miles per gallon and delivering only 100 to 150 horsepower, now you have these cars that are almost 300 horsepower and they're delivering almost 30 miles per gallon. So not only is it the engines are getting smaller, but they also credit direct injection that is burning the fuel more efficiently. And because of the direct injection, it also cools the engine, which allows it to run a little more efficiency, so it's not as hot, heated up as much. We also have the cylinder deactivation technology. So you have this V8 that makes 455 horsepower. So, it peaks out at 455, but you don't need that all the time, of course. So when you're cruising, it turns off. Literally 4 of the cylinders will shut off when you're cruising down the highway. And, there's...
It's not me, I swear.
Okay. So then, also we know that materials are getting lighter. And, instead of 4,000-pound cars in 1976, cars now weigh right around 3,400 pounds in 2017. So you take all these little things, you put them together, and what you end up with is even what we consider the standard conventional internal combustion engines are becoming more efficient. And I know we talk about hybrids, we talk about plug-ins and EVs, and we talk about alt tech. And I think this actually falls under the alt tech category. You can take a standard conventional internal combustion engine car and make it more efficient without downplaying the fun to drive horsepower. So all in all, I thought Bloomberg did a decent job with this article. You'll find it on our Facebook page. It'll be in the Flipboard. And it's an interesting read, or at least it was for me.
Absolutely. I think what's fascinating is the 1976 Aston Martin DBS and the 2016 Toyota Camry, just about the same horsepower.
Yeah.
Just about the same. And just for some context, in 1976, the Aston Martin had 285 horsepower, which was 75 more horsepower than anything else in the market. Mm-hmm. Okay. It wasn't like some weird little Euro coupe. This was a haul-ass powerful vehicle. And yeah. So the 70-year-old in the Camry in front of you going 25 miles an hour in the 45 zone, she's driving an Aston Martin. Just saying. Sorry,
Yeah, the
Mom.
equivalent.
Sorry, Mom. Mom drives
Yeah.
a Camry. So it's just crazy. You know, the one thing that's funny, while you were talking, I was doing a Google search of several different terms. Guess what I can't find? And you're like, oh, Russell, who the hell knows what you could be searching for? Let me cut to the chase here. I can't find the MPG on the Dodge Demon. It doesn't appear to be published anywhere.
That's because it's not.
Yeah. Everybody talks about every other spec, but not the MPG.
Well, you notice that with EVs and plugins, right? Is that one of the great features of those cars is that the computer will tell you how many MPGs you're getting. But as soon as you move into a mainstream gasoline car, all of a sudden that stat is just not available.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, there's G-forces. There's all kinds of things you can find out.
Because, they think that they don't want you to see, my gosh, does that really say 12?
Right.
12?
That must be 112. No, bang, bang, it's 12.
That's why they say it does well on the quarter mile.
There you go. Yeah.
Because it only goes a quarter mile. It'll go a half mile because you got to go down and come back to refuel.
There was a summer I drove a 70 Dodge Challenger with a 346 pack, and I think I got 6 or 8 miles to the gallon.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
Probably leaded fuel and
And literally, like, and this is back in the days when gas was like $1.10 a gallon or something. But I was like, oh my god, I can't afford to drive this car, like to the other end of town and back, and it's like I'm broke.
Yeah.
It was fun, but yeah. Let's see. Do we have another story? I got to go back here. I'm looking.
the Ford/his jobs. You want to do that one or no?
Yeah. We already did that.
Did we?
No, we didn't do the. Ford's going to slash 10% of the workforce in North America and Asia.
Oh, you're right. I just referred to that. Well, let's talk a little bit about what Jim Hackett from Steelcase is going to do at Ford. He's going to bring technology. He's going to make them a leader.
Do more with less.
Yeah. This is the Daily News, New York Daily News. Not my favorite source, but it's better than Seeking Alpha. Patrick Connor. They published. Let's see. This was May 16. It says Ford to slash 10% of workforce in North America and Asia. 10%. That's a lot of employees. We're talking about thousands of employees. 10 to 12,000 employees. I'm not seeing that number in this article, but for some reason I remember.
Well, it said Ford had about 30,000 salaried workers in the U.S.
But but I don't know. That's a lot of jobs getting lost. So what does that mean? I guess that's the question in my head. Like, because I'm not smart, but so they're going to cut their workforce by 10%. Does that mean they're going to make less stuff? If they hired more robots, what are they doing to, I get that, like, when you fire 10% of your people, you're saving that labor money, but still you got to make stuff and sell it. Because Ford, in the business of making things and selling them. So how does this advance Ford's causes?
In the short term, until productivity completely bottoms out, it does look as though if your revenue stays the same, even if it's a small, relatively small revenue, and you reduce your overhead, it certainly makes it look like your revenue to overhead, looks great in the short term.
Yeah, that's what people typically do to sell their companies.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it smelled like to me. It was like who's getting ready to get rid of this company? And it's Ford. Nobody's going to buy Ford. Why would they? Number one, no.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
just a tactic that's used though for groups, maybe not as large as Ford, but make the bottom line look better.
And one of the questions could be, is there a way of finding out if there are any other factories around the world that are picking up employees, or are they transitioning manufacturing or assembly from the U.S. to anywhere else?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Those are the details, of course, that are left out of the article, and I'm sure Ford is not about to make that known anywhere.
That we're hiring 20% in Mexico.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
so the article does go on to say that that doesn't affect hourly workers. So it doesn't affect the factory, as it were, the people who are building things. This is targeted at salaried workers. So that 30,000 number, boom, 27,000 soon. They're going to cut costs by $3 billion. Obviously, not just in labor. There's other things going on here, but wow. $3 billion? They scrapped plans to build a factory in Mexico. We heard about that. Trump claimed credit for it, even though it happened before he took office, because that's the kind of president he is. He can go back in time and fix things like a Time Lord, like Doctor Who. So kind of weird.
Yeah, it's but the new guy they hired and their CTO promises us big things by the year 2020.
Big things.
Big things. Big, huge things.
Huge things.
Yes, bigger
Now
things.
I see.
Yeah, that's interesting because most CEOs, when they come and say, "Oh, probably not going to do much, and probably not going to change anything, and probably won't be any better."
How do they keep their jobs?
Oh, that is the eternal question, isn't it? I really think that the problem at Ford is lack of vision. I don't think there's anybody there, dare I say, with even the limited, myopic, scary retro vision of like Maximum Bob Lutz, who at least like 12-cylinder Cadillacs, yes. And finally, when he saw the light, championed the Volt program. I mean, that's somebody, but there's nobody there like that. They all seem to be what? I don't really.
Wallpaper.
I'm sorry?
Wallpaper.
Yeah.
I mean, is there any less inspiring car company than Ford? Yes. Dodge. Yes. But I mean, other than that.
Yeah, well, and when what was it, Ford Jr. took over some years ago, and he said he's a muscle car guy. He basically said, I'm a muscle car guy, and Ford has made muscle cars through the years, and so when he came in, he made it very clear, Ford makes muscle cars, and they still do. They make these, they still make the big trucks and the muscle cars in that, $450,000 thing. And then you have a CTO that, does he know where Ford is going? Does anybody? So I think you're right. There's no real vision, or there's multiple visions, and multiple visions is worse than no vision, because if you have no vision, someone just needs to stand up and say, this is where we're going. But if you have multiple visions, now you have to convince other people that their visions are wrong and try to steer them to agree with you. So I think it's possible that they have a split personality. They don't know whether they're tied in the past when Ford made the Mustang and Ford made, cars, that the internal combustion engine conventional cars that got people excited, and we drive real fast and we cruise down Main Street. Now they're looking at EVs and autonomy. They don't want to give up what they had. They still live in the 1970s. That's just my take. That's what I feel.
Yeah. A lot of people running car companies are living in the past. I mean, one of my favorite car companies, Toyota, Akio Toyota, just last week kind of went off. I don't want to say went off, but I mean, it was quoted as saying that, the shift to electric cars is going to cost money and will lack excitement. And I thought, really? I mean, honestly, have you never driven a Tesla? It's a blast. Okay. It's a holy hell blast. There's nothing wrong with the technology. It's just that your electric cars, which actually you don't really have, aren't exciting. And apparently part of this opinion is, I guess the engineering staff made him one of the 86s, the old FRS Scion, in a battery version, and he wasn't that thrilled with it. And guess what? The FRS, not that exciting of a car. I'm sorry. I've driven it. It's okay. It's cool, but it's very, very small, and it's a little gutless, in my opinion. It's nice. It's fun. But it's not. So I guess.
Why didn't they get a hold of that VW bus and put a Toyota symbol on it and give it to him?
Exactly. Get in the VW truck and let him wreck a set of tires in a block. It just it doesn't make sense how the leaders of these companies are so disconnected. I mean, Elon's not a superhero. He's not Tony Stark, and but he's got more vision than a lot of these guys.
Right.
Women,
Bingo.
Mary Barra. Oh,
Yeah. He's just not tied to the past is the thing. He's got nothing to let go of.
except for those cars on sleds. That's really stupid. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, I didn't mean it. I mean, I just that we were talking about that, and instantly in my head that kind of came up. Let's get out of here though, because I think Evan's going to leave us soon, and we've been here. So let's do some shout outs and go home. I think we can declare victory, can't we? Yeah,
sure.
Evan, you declare
whatever you want
first.
I'm shouting out to my solar system on my lake house that finally got turned on last week. Yay!
Yay!
So I'm giving back.
Do you have an entire solar system at your house?
My lake house, yeah.
How big is that thing?
No, it's pretty big. 3 or 4 planets.
Okay.
You're so spectacularly wealthy. I can't even really wrap my brain around it. It's amazing. I mean, you have a house with a. I'm not even going there. Tony.
Hey, so yeah, I don't know where you got this episode, but what you want to do is make sure you never miss an episode. So if you haven't yet subscribed to the show on Stitcher, Slacker, YouTube, Google Play, or iTunes, you need to go do it now. Seriously, pause the podcast right now and go subscribe. I also want to give some shout outs to Bob Staff, Glenn Swanson, and you need to look up the Facebook page, Electric Cars Are for Girls. You need to like that page. And then speaking of girls, this is a hi, how are you, to Stephanie Musang. Hi, how are you?
Wow, that sounded. All of a sudden, it got personal. I'm sorry, Mark.
Just shout out to the Waterloo Regional Voltec group. Follow us on Twitter at WR Voltec. And if you happen to be in Kitchener-Waterloo on June the 6th at 7 p.m., we're having an electric cruise night. So come on down to the corner of Queen and Mill Streets in downtown Kitchener. We'll see you there.
Awesome! I want to go on electric cruise night. But I'm
Sounds
really
fun.
far
You're
away.
only a mere 2,000 miles away.
Yeah, all I have to do is drive north for about 30 hours. Hey, I just want to remind everybody to be sure to visit us at our main site, whatdrives.us. We post every show in audio and video form for streaming or downloading. Also at whatdrives.us, we started posting articles and reviews from the experts, well, the other guys, not me, that you see here. If you want to learn how to drive more efficiently, Mr. Tony Schaefer himself wrote the definitive series on it. Our complete archives at more at whatdrives.us. I want to thank Michael Mannering, as always, for his amazing theme music. Visit him at manthing.com. He's back on the road, by the way. You should check out manthing.com where you can go see him live. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being on the show this week.
Thank you.
Well,
Always
thanks for having the show.
Evan,
Yes.
Better Call Saul's on.
I know.
There you go.
Oh,
I want to thank everybody who's watching and hope you'll tune in next week and find out what drives us. See ya. Okay.